Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Adventures of FoxFoil. Today we are starting out in the desert where we have been working for the last few episodes, and what? How is this Enderman mad at me? I didn't even look at him. No! Not like this! Not like this! Alright. Where did he go? Oh, there he is! I gotta get it! There we are. Wow. Okay. Where was I? That's right. We were just getting started with the episode, and I'm still shaken up. Let's just get things going. Today is going to be all about building and filling in the hole that I dug last time, and if I can get down here without dying, we should be able to take a look at what I've done since the last episode. I've cleaned things up a little bit. I finished digging out this central hole here, and you can see this area right here, which is also new, and I dug that out, as well as this spot right over here, and then in the back here. And all of these things will make more sense once this build gets finished. We are going to need a little over 110,000 blocks for this build, and I am going to need to collect quite a few of these before we can get started. But to put a little perspective on the amount of blocks that we are going to need, this build has 13,000 blocks, this one has over 20,000, and this build had 30,000 blocks. And if we were to combine these three buildings, we would have less than 2/3 of the amount of blocks that we need. I see you over there. Don't even get any idea. So we are going to have to do a lot of work really fast if we are going to get this build completed and all of the blocks collected in this episode. But it will probably be easier if I collect the blocks first. I don't even want to think about how much trouble it'd be to start building without any of the blocks ready. Now, one of the blocks that we are going to need a lot of is black concrete. And if we take a look over here in the ink sacks, I don't have any. And if we look over in the dyes, there's no black dye. Now, this might be a problem, but I have this Guardian farm, and in addition to Prismarine, it also produces ink sacks. Let's see how many I have. This is perfect. I was thinking I might have to AFK here, but we have plenty of ink sacks to be able to get the black concrete that we need. So let's get those packed up and be on our way. Well, hello, frogs. Wait, that was last episode. At the end of the last episode, we put a bunch of copper into the super smelter to get smelted up, but while I was trying to refuel the smelter, an Enderman walked in front of me, got upset, started attacking me, and I died. But the copper is now finished, and I've crafted it up into these blocks of copper here. But one thing that we still need to do is get the copper to age so that it's the right color. This seems like a good place to do it. We're going to need some copper trap doors. I wonder how much we can get. That's not very much at all. This is going to take a lot of copper. So now we gotta just get these placed out so that they can start aging, and hopefully there will be plenty of room for all of the trapdoors we've got to place. So I feel like I've been doing this for many hours, and we're just about to the end. This is the last few trapdoors that we have to do. We are also doing the full blocks over there. But I can't wait to be done with this. I was a little overly optimistic in saying I was almost done because the full blocks also took a long time to do, but now that they are done, we are all set to go with the copper blocks, and you can see them here. They are all nicely packaged up in these shulker boxes, and we can take them back over to our storage room and get on to the next block that we need to collect. The next block that we are going to need to collect are the tuff blocks that we are going to be using, and while I do have a lot of tuff blocks here, that is only about half of what we are going to need. But down here in my deep slate mine, you can see there are lots of clumps of tuff blocks all exposed. So collecting the ones that we need should be relatively straightforward. At least I hope so. So it's ended up being pretty straightforward to find the different clumps of tuff to be able to mine it out. It has taken a long time to do it though, because I haven't been able to use a beacon to get the instant mining, and mining without a beacon is not very fast. But we're just about finished, as this is the last shulker box that we have to fill up, and then we'll be ready to go. And it's now filled. And all of the tuff blocks are now crafted up into the types of blocks that we are going to be using. So we now have all of the tuff blocks and all of the copper blocks, but there are still a ton of other blocks that we are going to need, and I think what we are going to do is just quickly run through those. Starting with 8 shulker boxes worth of deep slate, 6 stacks of lapis blocks, light blue concrete, cyan concrete, black concrete, packed ice, packed mud, mud bricks, stripped jungle logs, stripped oak logs, and stripped birch logs. I think we have everything gathered up and all organized into these shulker boxes. There are a lot of them, and as you can see, they are all mostly filled. There are so many blocks here that I'm beginning to wonder how long it's going to take me to place all of these blocks. Also, there are enough shulker boxes here to fill a large chest, so it's going to make transportation a little bit more challenging. So my ender chest is filled with shulker boxes, my inventory is filled with shulker boxes, and there are still shulker boxes left over. This is going to be a fun build. So we now have everything moved over to where we are going to be doing the building, and it's organized by the types of blocks. So over here we've got copper. In this one we've got all of the different type of tuff blocks. This is going to be the different deep slate blocks. Over here we've got glass. This is going to be the different concrete blocks. This is going to be the lights that we are going to be using, and here are just miscellaneous blocks that are all sorts of different types of things. And you may have seen the seeds that were in the last two shulker boxes there, and that gives a hint as to what we are going to be building today. Because what we are going to be doing with this space down here is turning it into a wheat farm. And we are going to use one of those systems where we have the water up along here, and once it's released, it'll go down and harvest all of the wheat. And while there are better ways to get a bunch of wheat, this is the system that we are going to be using because it's going to be more about the aesthetics of the design and less about the efficiency of it. Don't even think about it. I see what you're doing here. I think we have done enough planning and enough resource gathering. It's time to finally start building. We are going to start off by building this back wall, and it's going to be a rock formation that slopes up to about here. And we are going to be using stone blocks as well as mossy cobblestone and regular cobblestone to be building these rock formations. The rock formations are now built on both sides of the room, and you may notice that there are a couple of gaps in between them, and we are going to start filling those in, beginning with the ones right up here. So these gaps are to be used for pipes that are coming out of the wall, and we are going to build them using copper block. And the end result will look something like this. Let's get the rest built. Don't do it. Don't even try. Now that the pipes are installed, there is one more thing that we need to do for this wall, and that is deal with these spaces right here. And that's where the black concrete is going to come in. So I built up the walls using black concrete powder, and we are going to turn that into concrete by putting in this water right here, and I'll go all the way down, converting the powder into concrete. And we'll end up with something like this, which we are going to do all the way down here and all the way over there. These two walls are now finished, and the next thing that we are going to start on is the mechanism that is going to be used to harvest the wheat that this farm produces. So the first thing that we need to do is put in this polished tuff all the way down here, and we're going to do the same thing over on that side. Next, we need to run a line of redstone all the way down and have repeaters going into this block right here. And then we are going to cover all of this up by placing in these chiseled tuff bricks and the polished tuff all the way down. Next up, we need to get the rows of dirt, which we are going to be planting the wheat on, in place, so that way we can get the rest of the build started. Before we start filling in this space, we need to fill in this area. And we are going to start by placing a lapis block in these corners, like this. We are going to then fill in the space in between with light blue concrete, and finally finish up with the light blue glazed terracotta, so that we have a design something like this. With the central part all completed, we can now start filling in the spaces in between the dirt. We are going to start by placing in dark oak planks along like this, then polished tuff to fill in this space here. On top of the dark oak planks, we are going to place copper grates, and behind the copper grates, we are going to put in some polished tuff, as well as ochre froglight. Then on top, we are going to put some more polished tuff, and then finish it off by placing in some warped fence gates, which we will then leave open like this. On either side, we are going to make a square out of polished tuff and chiseled tuff, ending up with something like this. Before we can start on the pillars that are going to go on top of the bases here, we need to do the walls. For the walls, we are going to start by creating a frame using polished deep slate. Then we are going to put a border of black concrete behind the deep slate. We are then going to do a gradient, which is going to start with mud bricks and finish with smooth sandstone. And then we are going to finish up by placing in an alternating pattern of blue and light blue stained glass. And this is what we will end up with. The walls are done, but you can't really see the gradient because of how dark it is. I think we need to add some light. And to add the lights, we are going to do that with the pillars that are going to go on top of all of these platforms. For the pillars, we are going to use copper grates for the center. For the exterior, we are going to use polished tuff, and tough brick wall. In between the walls, we are going to add some blue stained glass, and then every 3 blocks, we are going to add in some ochre frog lights, polished deep slate walls, and copper trapdoor. And we'll end up with something like this. Now we just need to do it another 139 times. Oh boy. Let's get started. It took about 10 hours, but 139 pillars have been built, and it was definitely worth the time. Now we need to start on this section. The floor is going to be made up of black concrete and cyan concrete. We are then going to fill in these spaces with sea lanterns. The walls are going to also be made out of black concrete. Next up, we need to create a spiral using cyan glass and light blue glass. Now that we finished that end, it's time to start on this end. And for this side, we are going to start by putting in some deep slate brick, then add a layer of chiseled tough bricks, and repeat this pattern all the way up. Next, we need to add some light and finish it off with a bit of glass. We are just about done building this farm. The wheat has already been planted so that it can start growing. The last thing that we need to do is build the ceiling. And the farm is finally finished, which is a huge relief because I have spent almost 80 hours in the last 8 days working on this farm, and that is a lot of time to spend on a single episode. But now that it's finished, I can say it was definitely worth the time because I am extremely happy with how it turned out, and it's just a massive build that is a lot of fun to fly around in because there's so much space in here. But now it's time to see how this farm will actually work once it's turned on and starts harvesting all of the wheat. Back here at the entrance, you can see that there is a lever right here, and this is what is going to activate the trapdoors in the back and send the water coming down to harvest all of the wheat. And it will do both sides at the same time, and once it gets down to the end, all of the wheat should end up in this water stream right here, which will carry all of the wheat down into a storage system. And I've done a little work back here just to make the walkway down to the storage room a little bit interesting, not just some plain stone walls, which I normally do in the back of any farm that I've worked on. But down here, you can see what we've got going on. We've got the crafters here to be able to craft up the wheat to turn it into some hay bales. And I did a little bit of a test on one side of the farm. And the way that the system works is that the water streams will carry the wheat and the seeds from the farms and drop it down into this looping system right here, which carries it around and around in a circle and gets picked up in the item sorter every time it goes by. But enough talking, let's actually do a harvest to just see how it all works. So let's flip this lever right here, and if we head out, we should start to see the water coming down and all of the wheat and the seeds getting harvested, which will carry it all the way over here to put into the water stream. And we've got that happening on both sides as well. But now we need to head over here and turn the lever back on so that way the water stops flowing on this side, and then we can head down into the system and we can start to see the wheat and the seeds getting sorted into the system back here, which, as you can see, is a lot of wheat and a lot of seeds. But as the wheat and the seeds are going around and around, they are going through the item sorter, and the wheat is getting put into the crafters and getting turned into hay bales, which are going into this chest right here. And you can already see we've got a whole nother stack as well as 30 more. And if we go all the way down to the end, this is where the seeds are going to end up. And this wheat here is from earlier. We can actually take that out so that there's more room for the seeds. But there are plenty of seeds in this system to be able to replant the farm. But with the amount of items going through here, you can see why we needed to have it be a loop instead of just one go, because the hoppers wouldn't be able to pick them all up. But it looks like all of the wheat has been pulled out of this system and just the seeds are left. They are going through the item sorter down here at the end, but there are so many seeds. I don't think it matters if all of these seeds don't end up in the system because we have plenty to replant the field. And even though we are not completely finished getting all of the wheat converted over to hay bales, we have a ton of hay bales produced from this farm. But now I need to replant all of those seeds. That could be a lot of work, but I'm not going to worry about replanting that right now because right now I'm just going to enjoy this build and relax a little bit after spending all of that time trying to get it finished. And I think this is the perfect spot to end the episode. It's been a lot of fun working on this project. I hope you enjoy getting to take a look at it as we work through getting this built. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And until next time, see ya later.